Want to know what voice actors really go through?
Mm.
Listen to this.
Speechless. Speechless.
Hi, I'm Kim Wilson,
And I'm Natasha Marchewka.
and this is Speechless. Welcome to our behind-the-scenes take on real life in VO, where we share our stories, our resources, and our unsolicited opinions. Today, we have two amazing voice talents here with us. We have Saundi Harrison Cooksey and Erika Ward.
Mm-hmm. And they share insights into what it's really like to be a voice actor, which we always like to bring to you. And we can identify all those stressful, we can relate to those stressful moments, but we're all going through the same thing. So if you're not in voiceover and you're listening, you'll want to hear what we go through. And if you are in voiceover and you're listening, you'll be able to relate.
And you'll be sweating.
Yay!
Hey, girls, welcome.
Yay.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show.
Of course.
Oh my God, of course. Thanks. I'm excited.
I love this.
Super
I love
fun.
this. You guys are so, I feel like famous in your own right. So I can't wait for our audience to get to know you for sure. But before we go into our bios and all that jazz, let's do drinks.
Yes. What did you bring to drink, Erika?
You guys are gonna be really excited. I brought filtered water.
Yes, many of our guests choose to
They
filtered
do,
water.
the really smart ones. The really smart ones.
Yes.
Mhm.
Saundi.
Saundi.
Well, for the
For those of you who can't see, she has a disco ball glass with a straw
my
coming
gosh,
out.
I love it.
I call it aquamelon. And it's, can you guess? It's water, a little splash of Celsius energy drink, watermelon flavor, and like maybe 2/3 of watermelon lemon perfect. Sorry,
What the hell is
brand.
that? What's
You never had
watermelon lemon perfect?
Oh my God, it's so good. Sorry. But
Is
Is
it
it alcoholic?
no,
Is it powder?
no, it's just water. It's kind of similar to Hint, except, sorry, Hint, 9 times better. It's called
Okay.
Lemon Perfect.
No.
We'll have to get that down.
Yeah.
Well, I've taken it to a new level that Kim made me disappointed about, but it's like super healthy, and we can have a debate about the pronunciation. Kefir, 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 all the different
Kefir.
languages.
Kefir.
Kefir.
Kefir. I don't know.
Anyway, raspberry
It's
flavor.
something.
Yeah.
Yum, that's
Yum.
delicious. And I have my favorite drink, if it's made correctly, a lemon drop,
Lemon
which is
drop, I
very
was gonna say.
dangerous.
Yes.
By the end of this lemon drop, we're all in trouble.
Well, and it
Cheers.
looks pretty too. It's very
Yes,
pretty
with the
looking,
sugar.
yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers,
I always
everybody.
get
Cheers.
nervous.
I'll stick with my kefir. Kefir.
Mm. That's a good one.
I didn't know you guys were already recording. I'm glad I didn't say anything really crazy or embarrassing.
No, you
love
could have.
crazy and
Yet.
embarrassing.
Yet.
Yes.
We'd love that.
Yeah.
But before you do, hold on to that, because Saundi Harrison Cooksey,
3 names.
I love you. I love it. I would love to start with you telling us your story and how you got into voiceover and what you're doing today.
Okay, how I got into voiceover. I've always loved voiceover since I was a little girl. I grew up as an only child till I was about 12. And so I didn't have any playmates. And so I was the original Oprah. In my bathtub, I had guests, I did interviews, I did the commercials, everything.
You
I
and
was
Wendy
so lucky.
Lands should have been
I
neighbors.
know, I heard that last week. And so my mom would be like, is anyone in there? Yes, we have a commercial break, stand by or whatever. So I always did it. And I found out about it early on and I just wanted to do that. But I never pursued it, even though I went to a school for performing arts. I
Oh.
took Latin. But anyway, I never pursued it because my
Interesting.
parents are like, yeah, you need to get a real job or whatever. So
So
fast forward,
Latin. So
yeah,
Latin was
so
it?
Latin, yes. So I'm not a lawyer or anything. So
Yeah.
um fast forward, I did what my parents traditionally want Atlanta natives to do, and that's to go to school, finish college, get married, and, work on a job 30 something years. So anyway, I didn't want to do anything. So after I graduated from high school, I was like, I'm going to New York and become a dancer.
Oh my
Mm.
God. The
I'm
balls
not
on
gonna age
you. I love
myself,
that.
but I was just like, I'm
The
gonna be a
only
dancer.
child saying
Yeah.
that to her parents. Damn. Okay, keep
And
going.
they were like, no, you're going to college. So my mom actually applied for me,
Wow.
met with the counselor, and was
She's a
like,
good
during the
mom.
summer, she was like, you're going to this college. And I was like, I don't, and you're going to take science because I happened to do very well in science in high school. I won some science fairs and stuff like that.
Oh
So
my
they were like,
gosh.
oh, that's the only reason they let me in. Otherwise, my grades were horrible. Um, so then I went to school for them. I wanted to do mass media, but my dad was like, no. And
Oh.
then I was like, okay, accounting. He was like, just change it to computer science. I took one semester of computer science. I was like, I can't do this. So I
Oh.
said, something's wrong with me. I'll do
Oh.
psychology. So
Oh.
I graduated with a psychology degree. And then, look, I said I wanted to move to New York or California, right? So I did. So I worked a little bit in Atlanta. And then I went on vacation. I met friends when I went to college who lived in New York, and I went on vacation. And I said, I'm just going to apply for a job. If I get it, then it's meant to be. I got a job as a social
Oh.
worker. And
Oh my
so I was a
gosh.
social worker for a couple of years. And I was like, okay, you came here to be an
A
actress,
dancer.
dancer, whatever.
A
Yeah.
dancer, yeah.
So, well, that by that time I gave up on dancing. I was like, I really want to be an actress because that's what I really wanted to be all along. So
Oh.
anyway, I took a voiceover class and it was devastating. The guy was a real a-hole and
Oh.
Oh.
just wasn't ready. And I just kind of shrunk back. So I said, well, if I can't do voiceover, at least I can work for a company on TV. So that's what I did. I worked as a research analyst for several companies like A&E and E and History Channel and Turner and
Oh,
all that.
cool.
Then, so when I worked for Turner, I transferred back to Atlanta,
Mm.
worked for Turner all those years, never pursued voice acting. And
Mhm.
then finally, I got married. I'm not going to go into that story, but anyway, I got married. My husband was like, just pursue voice acting if that's what you want to do. So I said, okay. So I took
Good
classes
person.
and I've been in love with it ever since. And that
And
was back in,
exploded onto the scene, let's
well,
just
sort
say,
of.
for our.
I worked a long time and did
Mhm.
voiceover because I met Natasha, I believe in 2016.
Mhm.
And I was just in love with Natasha and her
Oh,
to-do list.
Oh.
I
like
love to-do
my
lists.
to-do list.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I loved it. So
She
I
laminated. She laminated
I
my stuff.
laminate. Oh, I still have them, by the way.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
so
love them.
awesome.
And
Wait,
so
what
Saundi,
are
I,
these
you're
to-do lists? There's
yeah,
to-do lists? I don't know
yeah,
about this.
well,
video
Oh,
to-do
Erika,
list.
you
It's
just
like
wait.
6 of them.
Okay.
They're fabulous. Anyway, I love them and I, just practiced and checked off the list and made sure and I talked with Natasha and she said, "Do you have Source Connect?" And I was like, "No, I'm still working." She was like, "Oh my God." So I was like, "I still have to work." So I did that up until 2020 when the company's like, "Hey, we're giving service packages. Do you want one?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." So I took
oh,
it and I've been full time since 2020 and
Yes.
I'm just thrilled and
Soaring.
happy and excited and just love it every day and very grateful.
And are you with
mm,
any agents? Would you like to share that?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm with AB squared, SBV, IBE, shortlist. I'm with a few.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
incredible, Saundi.
Like a
Thank
true
What a
overnight
story.
sensation. You worked your
Well,
tail off forever, like every overnight sensation does, right?
And and inquiring minds, I might need a drink for this. What did your parents say now?
Yeah, yeah,
so you
yeah.
know what? I got laid off. I was notified in 2020 or the service package, but I did not tell my parents that I was a full-time voice actor until 2021.
Mm.
because I knew that they were freak. I know my dad would be like, "Oh my God, we're gonna have to loan her money," and I'm like,
Did
and I
he?
had
Now, did they? Or like what happened? We
no, I mean, 2020 was a really great year for me. 20, all the way really up until 2023. I mean, 2023, I kind of stepped back a little bit because I had to take care of my parents, my
Mm-hmm.
father specifically. And
Mm-hmm.
so 2023 was rough,
Yeah.
to say the least. And so, but all the other years were really good, and I'm just
And now you're
fortunate,
back.
grateful. Yeah,
You're
I
back.
think I'm nearly back.
Yeah, you
Nearly back.
are. Oh my gosh, I love
Trying
that.
to be back.
Before you share your relatable moment with everyone, because we all have one, we want to hear from Erika Ward and we want to know her story and where she is, how she got here. If you haven't met Erika Ward, she has the most dynamic voice.
Mm.
Your demo is, I know you said you need a new one, but I'm always like, what? Who are you?
Well, thank you. I guess that's a compliment. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just it skews a little younger than how I book now. That's why I said the new demo, but thank you.
Mm-hmm. Tell us your story.
So, my story. So I knew voiceover was a thing. Like I knew like The Simpsons, but it
Yeah.
was never like I knew people did it, but it was never my dream. My dream was I wanted to be an actor and then later a writer and director in indie film and sitcoms. And I lived in New York for a while and then ended up in LA. And, everyone's like, oh, you should do voiceover. You should. And of course, when you're younger, you're like, I mean, even now, like I shouldn't say when you're younger, but get a little stubborn about when people tell you what you should or shouldn't do. So I was like, no,
Sure.
no, no, this is my plan. I want to be in film and TV. And yet it kept coming back up. And then in 2011, I was living in LA, and a friend of my boyfriend at the time was working at Pandora Radio, and they were just starting out, excuse me, starting out their voiceover roster. And so she was like, have Erika send in a sample, have her send in a demo. And I was like, I guess, like so just if I think of me now, I'm like, what were you thinking? You should have just sent it in. So I did. And then just kind of everything kind of happened from there. I got on their roster and consistently worked and was the main voice for one of like I guess a national brand of a certain type of store. So I worked consistently. And then got on Voice 123, which was the Voice 123 of 2011, which is a
Oh,
little
yeah,
different
that
from
one.
yes, little
The
different
old ones.
from
Yes.
from the Voice 123
The
now.
antiquated, right.
Yes. And so I was able to make a lot of connections that way and meet people that way. So I kind of built my business. And I went full time in 2013, but it's been an interesting sort of uh ride with it because some years you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, I made so much money, I'm so good at this, and other years it's like, oh my God,
Yes.
but that's the truth, that's the reality of it.
And that's why I love you just shared that, because I think that's the truth for so many of us who are
Yeah,
scared to admit that, this is a roller coaster job. This is not, you do 3 commercials and you're done for the year. This is, you got to sustain yourself. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not.
yeah, and treat it like a business. Like that's what I wish I
Yeah.
had done, recognizing like, oh, I need to diversify, oh yeah, I need to have build up a really strong client base versus like like majority of my income being one client, and then when that client's like, we're going to change over our voices, sorry, there's an alarm going off for my dog's medicine, forgot to turn
Oh,
that off.
okay.
We're
Do you
done.
want to get it? You can get it if
No,
you.
I already gave it to her, but there's like, I'm not good with like AI programming technical
Oh,
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we have like a separate alarm in the kitchen that says it. This is not related to voiceover, but
well, it is.
yeah, I
AI.
guess it is technically, right? It is.
Technically.
Yeah, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother
I
conversation.
Yeah.
know.
We just
Um,
went there, didn't we?
yeah. But anyways, yeah, so treating it like a business and yeah, so I obviously, it's still part of what I do. I do other things in the world as well, but yeah, just kind of letting it evolve as it evolves and over the years, I, no longer with Pandora and other sorts of done a lot of different commercials and internet radio and, TV, digital radio, all the things and other corporate narration and like different projects like that.
You have had to been the voice of a toy, please.
I can do really like toy voices, but you know what's weird is I always avoid those auditions. Like if my, agents are
Really?
listening, I'm like, sorry, I passed on those. I don't know why. Maybe I should open up to it a little bit more.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the perfect voice. Well, the spots that I've heard have been
The-
amazing.
yeah, the cartoonish one. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
haven't really done too much animation, but yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
open.
gosh, that's your next venture,
Yeah, you
Erika.
just never know. Yeah.
I
Well,
love that.
Kim had said that people don't like to admit that it's a roller coaster, but I think it's more like, oh, we know it all right. It's the people that, well, us as well, we think it's not going to happen. Maybe that's the same as not admitting it, in denial, in
Yeah.
denial
Yeah.
that, oh my gosh, it's not. It's just so painful and awkward when it's not consistent.
Well, and a big
Mhm.
part of it, and I'm sure this is very relatable. I know it's for me and people that I've connected with before, but the idea that we tie our value and our worth up and our talent up in
Mm.
is what happens, how much we're booking or, how much money we're making when there's so many other factors that are involved.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a
Erika, I love that you just said that
Mhm.
because when you get into acting or voice acting or performance or theater, anything like that, or singing, it's part of the personality, I think, that is behind those is wanting to be seen and heard and to separate your self-worth from that is nearly impossible. It is
Mhm.
real because if that's your soul, I'm a performer.
yeah.
Wow, like that's really, really hard.
Yeah,
Um,
if you're
and
not
it's
getting the
such,
money, you can't help but feel like you're
yeah,
not being
or you're not
valued.
booking.
But then you do book, and I think that's another mindset thing, like, oh, look at me, look at me. Like, just you don't even have to tell anyone. You feel good somehow about yourself because you're making money. And it unfortunately, I don't know what you have to be really spiritual person to let go of,
Grounded. Yeah.
yeah, grounded to let go of the value that money provides or takes away. That's
Or
a big one.
booking, or just even booking, even if it's not
Yeah.
a lot of money, just the fact that somebody, quote unquote, sees you or hears you or wants your voice on something is
Yeah.
so validating. It's
It
like
is.
getting a like on a Facebook post or something or an
Or voice
Instagram.
one,
It's
two,
like,
three.
or voice 1, 2, 3, God dang it.
Yeah.
It's like very validating. And how do you separate yourself? I feel like we need to call Dr. Rick, my husband, back to the, how do you,
Right.
like just to realize, and I think maybe just the small reminders with each other is we're worth more
Mhm. Our bank
than
account.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or booking.
Well, on
Yeah.
that note, we let's take a break.
Yeah. And then come
And
back with
when we
some
come
really
back,
fun
we'll talk
stories.
about, yeah, some fun, relatable, hilarious stories. Be right back. Hi, everybody. We're just going to jump in here with a quick speechless promo to talk about a few things. First of all, our sponsors, The Vorg, the
Hello.
voiceover resource guide, which we love so much,
Mm-hmm.
and VO Extra, the voiceover extra is ongoing newsletter that's online.
Sign up for that one.
And George the Tech, everything you need to know about tech with an emergency line and everything.
Yeah, which I used this week, by the way,
Did
people.
you really? Oh my
Yeah, they
gosh,
called me within like minutes.
that's so cool. Kim and I, as you know, are super excited about our event that's coming up on August 3rd. You can be there live in Burbank and read for casting directors, but also enjoy the camaraderie and the food and the
Mm,
wine. It's going to be an amazing party.
homemade pasta,
And
wine.
if you can't go live, you can buy a ticket to see the teachings on Zoom and have
Hmm.
them
We're
after
going to
the
have them
fact. So
recorded. Yeah.
so we have Marilyn Wisner, casting director Marilyn Wisner, casting directors from the Voice Caster, which is the OG casting house in LA, and Kristen Paiva. Got to get that right. She has cast for Disney and all kinds of other animation projects. What else do we need to tell them, Kim?
Just to be there, sign up. It's your chance to get in front of a
square.
casting director and have them get to know you and you get to know them.
And we'll see you there.
Oh my God.
All right. What have you got for us, Saundi? A relatable story for our voiceover community.
Relatable. I'm glad Erika mentioned the roller coaster too. And I worked voice acting and full-time job for about 7 years.
Mm.
And I never let my full-time job know about my voice acting, and I never let my voice acting know about my full-time job.
Mm.
So I was just like living this double life. But
and
so
tired, I bet.
yes, oh my God, my day never ended. So first of all, I do not do audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
I barely read. And when I say I barely read, meaning like I don't take the time to
Who
read.
has time to
Yeah, yeah.
read?
I know. I'll listen to an audiobook, but I don't read. Anyway, I said if I did do it, I would do nonfiction. So,
Yep.
because I love learning stuff. I love
Yep.
learning stuff. So anyway, this client found me and they were like, "Can you do this audiobook?" And I was like, "Oh my God, no." Now, mind you, I didn't have my booth or anything. Um, and so I kind of had a little cutout. I had a makeshift booth or whatever. So anyway, like a nutcase, I said, yeah, because they said you would be among about 5 other narrators. So I was like, oh, okay, that's not, I can share, it won't be that big. And I
Share
was
the
like,
burden.
yeah, I'm like, okay. Y'all, it was on Mother's Day weekend. I'll never forget it. They were like, okay,
I'm already
here it
sweating.
is or whatever. And it was on Mother's Day weekend. So I took my laptop in this little alcove, okay? A laptop, okay? And about to record, I don't know, 90,000 words.
Oh my God.
And I recorded, I was just like, it was crazy. My fan was coming on. I just was like, I need to get through it. The topic was interesting and bizarre at the same time. But anyway, it was about how to teach kids in underserved communities or whatever. So anyway, I finished it. Then I was like, I need an editor. So I went and got on a virtual assistant platform. I was like, I need an editor. And anyway, edited all the stuff, y'all. I mean, sent it in. They were like, okay, you have, I don't know, 93,000 mistakes. So I just broke down and cried. My husband's like, just tell them you need an extension. I said, they can extend it till next year. I can't do this.
Oh
I was
my
like, I
God.
can't do this. So I had to break down and tell them, I was like,
This
I'm
is a
so
good story.
sorry. I bit off more than I can chew. I don't have to be paid at all for none of this, And I had paid the editor, obviously,
Right.
and I was just like, I'm so sorry to waste your time. And they already were
Aw.
looking for someone last minute because probably the other smart person was like, no, I'm not doing this. Or they said, yeah, I am doing this. And then they're like, no, I can't do this in the middle. So I was like the second, whatever.
Their second person trying to do
Yeah,
an audiobook.
exactly. And then I later learned
is not
I'd
easy,
recognize
people.
one of the person's name that was narrating. I knew him from Wovo,
Mhm.
Oh,
George Washington III.
Mhm.
check it
And
out.
I emailed him. I was like, are you narrating this book? And we got on the phone. This is after the book was complete
Okay.
or whatever. And he was like, oh my God, I'll never do that again. I just felt relieved that he was just like, and his part wasn't as big as mine, but it was just horrific. Okay, now the twist to the story. Fast forward, my friend, my BFF still lives in New York. So because we don't hardly see each other, we meet at conferences. So if she has a conference, I'll go and meet her. So she had a conference in Oregon. Do you know the people who wrote that book were at the conference?
Stop it right now.
And I met them.
No, you did not. Did you tell them? I'm Saundi.
But I didn't tell them.
You
Like,
didn't.
I narrated this book, and they were like, oh my God, we took pictures. They autographed.
Such.
Oh
Wow.
my
What a
God, that is
story.
a story and a lesson.
But what's so
Mother's Day weekend,
relatable
I'll
is
never forget it. A lesson I never auditioned or whenever somebody's wanted, reached out to me for audiobook, no,
No.
absolutely not. Unless you
Yeah.
send me to a studio, then I'll do it.
That's right. If someone else wants to do the editing, I'll do
Yeah,
the reading and they can correct me as I go. Right.
absolutely.
That's
But
my
part
jam.
of the relatable part is sweating over a project, and it's a last minute on their part. So
Yeah.
you feel like you're backed into a corner in terms of like, well, time.
Yeah.
And we all have been through that,
Oh
and
my
the part
God.
comes with the job, but boy, is it a pressure cooker.
Yeah, and I
Oh
think I was
God.
desperate, obviously, because I took it on. Now I should have known. You're not
No.
ready. You're not ready. And I
Well,
just
but
should
Well,
have said,
Saundi, everyone wants to do an audiobook. Everyone thinks they get into like so many
people
people
who
want to
don't
do
know.
people who don't know what they don't know want to do audiobooks until they do one and then they're like, what? And these
Yeah.
are people without agents, obviously, that don't go into the studio or have an editor that
right.
do them.
Yeah.
Not us who have to hire our own editors to do something
Yeah,
like that.
for sure.
That's a
Whew.
good lesson. Woo! Thank you for sharing that. I cannot wait to hear Erika's story. Tell us.
Yeah, now I'm just like feeling the anxiety
I
of that
know.
many words having to record. I'm like, oh God. That's why I don't do audiobooks either. So I guess I was gonna share, and I will share a bad session story because I feel like
Yes.
the more that we share the bad sessions, the less the anxiety of the session is. You
I
know, like
agree.
we've all done a bunch of them over the years, but
Yep.
still, there's that, I think, like you said, with the whole being a performer and you're your product, right?
Right.
So it's really easy to get to have that sort of anxiety around it. But so before we moved into our current house, we were in a temporary, like a duplex nearby. And I didn't, before I got my modular booth, I had just moving blankets on the PVC pipe, and it worked
Yeah,
fine.
it does work
We're
good.
kind of like in the woods here. So it was fine. And so I had a session for a client with a client. I'd done a lot of their corporate narration, and it was through a company that I work with in Sweden, and I do a lot of their English language corporate narration. So I'd worked with them before, and I had a session for like 9 o'clock in the morning. And I get a text from my landlord 5 minutes before. He's like, "Oh, hey, just so you know," and as I'm getting this text, I see these people pull up in a van with like work equipment.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God.
and we had a neighbor in our duplex that had just moved out. And he's like, "So we got to do some work on the flooring. You're really loud noises for the next 24 to 48 hours." And I was like, "Oh, and you're gonna start like right now? Like right now? Like you need to let me know." So I was like, "Okay, I have a session that this is what I do." Like he was aware. So I emailed the producer and I was just like, "Hey, I know this is super unprofessional, but I have this going on. Hopefully we can get it recorded before it starts getting really loud." They were redoing the floors. So it's not like they were just kind of
No.
doing a little, they were like the foundation of the entire house. So I get in the booth, and of course, I'm like, and I didn't say anything to the director and then the client that were both on the call. So I'm recording, and then all of a sudden, maybe like halfway through the session, because it was like 3 90-second narrations. All of a
90
sudden,
seconds. That's all you needed.
yeah,
You needed
I
90
know.
more seconds.
Yeah. And all this, and I should have said, like, let's do this fast because I got something coming. But you don't want to say that,
Yeah.
No, of course. Let's
So,
do this
because
fast.
of course they're like, "Can you try it like this instead?" I'm like, "We don't have time. You don't want me to do it again." So all of a sudden, it sounds like a monster, like Godzilla on the house. Like it was so loud.
Oh
And so
God.
I just laughed. I was like, "I'm sorry. I had mentioned it to the producer that they're doing work on and the guy on the call and the director and the audio engineer, they were like, "Well, we can try to do it in between. See if you can just wait till the loud banging is done, and then we
Yeah.
can."
What?
So it
Oh,
was
God.
literally like I would do a sentence, loud banging. I would do another sentence, loud bang. Like we did that for 15 minutes,
Oh,
and
Oh,
that was it. And they were really, really nice about it.
oh,
But that's like your worst. I'm
yeah.
worried about like a dog barking in the
Yeah.
distance. This was
Yeah.
like an entire foundation shaking.
Your
You
walls
know,
were shaking.
right. And it was before I had this. I would be less worried in this than in
Yeah.
that booth. So it was fine. But
Oh
I
my
haven't
gosh.
heard from them since. But they usually reach out like once a year. So it hasn't been a year yet, or maybe it has. Okay. I haven't heard from them. We'll just
Oh
end it
my
there.
gosh.
But still, I think it was usable because they didn't have me re-record. So, but
Yeah. Oh my God. I feel like
but
everyone has had those noise issues, especially if you're in California with all the all the landscapers. Well, I shouldn't say especially. Everyone in the summers here,
yeah.
landscapers are
Yeah.
crazy pants.
And like when
Especially
something like that happens, you're just kind of like, okay, all right, there's nothing you can do to control it. Like you do your
We're
best.
human
People
beings.
understand we're human. I used to be so worried about every little thing, but
Yeah.
control it.
I,
most people are human, the audio engineers, which we love.
most of them are.
Most.
And they understand because
Yeah.
I live in a flight path. And sometimes, I don't know, planes are like, we're going to fly all day between 12 and 1 when you start recording. So, yeah, but most of them understand, but it is temporary. I would probably be sweating like I
Yeah,
was with
sweating.
audiobook if
Yeah,
they were doing construction or something. Yeah.
it
It's
is the worst.
we really bond over the stress of it, and people
Yeah.
couldn't really understand how stressful it is for us. It's like, but there
Do-
are ways to handle it, and you were proactive, Erica, and I
You
think
were.
to say even in the session, like now that's what I do right from the beginning if something's happening, because I have a Great Dane who has a very loud bark. So if something's happening, I just say it out loud. And yes, everyone seems to be human. So that's
Yeah.
nice.
Do you have a good story, Natasha, before we
Oh goodness.
I know
Well,
you do.
I have one that started at the beginning of the pandemic. I can't remember if I've shared this on Speechless or not, and it may have been a long time ago. At the beginning of the pandemic, people were getting used to working from home, meaning the directors, the producers, and maybe they weren't called a director producer. Maybe they were a marketing manager, just someone who's supposed to be in charge of directing the voiceover. So it was a corporate narration. It wasn't an advertisement. And so this man was home, and it turns out his wife was a nurse. So he had to do the babysitting while he did his job at home because his wife was, needed. She couldn't work from home. And they were little, like little baby, a little baby and a 2-year-old or some
Oh.
thereabouts. And all of a sudden I say, take 4. And he goes, did you go poop? And then muted. His
Oh
little
my
daughter. I found out later because we
God.
we nobody laughed about it. Nobody said anything. I just moved on. But when I talked to him again in another
You're
session,
like,
I said,
no, I did not.
I wish I had said that.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. I brought it up. I said it was the highlight of my pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic. And he says, yes, I've told that story too. I guess his daughter had gone out in the backyard and dropped her pants and just started to poop as soon
Oh my
as
Oh
I did
God.
take
my
4.
gosh.
So
We're all like horrified. That is so funny. That is a good story.
It is,
yeah.
Yeah.
for
That
sure.
Well, because
recently, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it just makes the whole like recording session less, I don't know, less like
Tense. Yeah.
tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
couldn't your people say, did you go poop? That would have been so much better. Like everybody would have been happy. Um, I think that the only one, I think we all have had something like this where you can't say like, thin wisps of cotton or, something, I was in a session recently and I had to say familial hypercholesterolemia, but I could say hypercholesterolemia, fine, but it was the familial part. I was like familial, take 47. Can I come back to this? It was so embarrassing. And by take 3, I'm already sweating. Like you can't get through the sentence like 3 times. My heart rate goes up. I'm sweating. I'm glistening. Oh, it's hot in here.
And I mean, it's sort of inexplicable. It's just anxiety, like that you could
I
say
know.
that second word that I won't try to say, and you couldn't say the easier word.
Familial.
This,
God, I can
this,
say it now. I stare at my ceiling at night like familial. Familial.
Yeah. See, people think this job is really easy. It is not easy.
It's not.
no.
Staring at
Your
my
brain
ceiling.
decides to stop working.
Yeah.
To me, that's
What?
kind of on the regular now. It just decides to pronounce something just
I
super
know.
random. Yeah.
Well, girls, we're going to put you in the hot seat.
Uh-oh.
We're going to play a
Okay.
game called This or That. And there is no right answer, obviously. You can even ad lib if you'd like. So, this or that, lead ins or no?
Yes. Yes. Lead-ins.
Erika.
Lead-ins, depends. Sometimes I'm not playing the game right.
No, you're playing the game right. You're playing the game. Who are you or who are you speaking to?
Who are
Maybe
you?
neither.
Or actually kind of both, because who are you? We're different with different people, I think, Like you're one
Mhm.
way with your best friend, you're one way with your mom,
Yeah.
children, etc. So kind of both for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Perfect answer. I'll take your answer. Yeah.
Okay. If you do long form, do you edit as you go or do you edit after recording?
After, and the longest form I do is just like, a little bit corporate videos. I don't do audiobooks.
I do
Mhm.
after
No,
and
nobody doesn't after this after this episode. Go ahead,
right.
Saundi.
Believe it or not, I do long form e-learning and I am still like probably not being as productive as I should be, but I actually do 2 takes
Of
of each
everything.
line. Yeah.
Well, because
And
you get better as
some
you go.
Oh, you mean line after
hopefully.
line? A line and
Yeah.
then another one?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do
And
that. I know it makes to some people it's like, what? But
No.
and then I edit at the end. But sometimes it just depends because sometimes I'll read it wrong like 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know
it
what I
happens.
mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you
I
make a
do know what you
mark
mean.
or anything where you can
I do.
see?
I do.
Okay, I
And my
see.
clicker is
Yeah, me too.
I
Your
used to
mouth.
have a dog clicker, but I was like my thumb, I don't know, I thought I was gonna get carpal tunnel. So I just said
Yeah,
I can be a clicker, a human clicker.
exactly. That's what I do too. Yeah.
All right. Warm-ups every day or only when you're sick and strained?
Every day.
Whoa, Erika, you're the only person who said every day so far on this
Well,
podcast.
Really?
Saundi.
me
I used to do every
Mm,
day
and
and then I
Natasha.
just kind of slacked off. But you know what I do every day or before? Sing.
There you
So
go.
I'm
That's a
not a
warm-up.
singer, but I sing. I love music. So I'm always singing. So to me, that's a warm up.
Is there a
Yeah.
particular song or just
Oh,
different songs?
anything, different songs.
Yeah.
But I do
Cool.
have a playlist, a pump me up playlist. I can't even
Oh,
Oh, I
remember.
cool.
love that.
We Are
Maybe
Family is on there.
maybe you need to
Yes.
And
share
Friends.
that with some people that you know,
Yes, could
namely
you
these
just
three
Pump it
do
up
people.
that?
playlist.
I
Okay.
want to pump me up
For sure.
Me
playlist,
too.
please.
All right. Is your creative take your first take, or is the safe one your first take?
Creative, my first, because I'm trying to get them to listen 2 more seconds, or
Yep.
3 seconds.
Yeah, I used to do the opposite, and then I've recently switched it to creative improvised first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think a good answer to this, because I do creative take first as well, is it depends on the creative director,
Yeah,
or the casting director, which is so important to get to know your casting directors, right?
yeah, for sure.
What they
Do you
like. Mm.
do you read the specs before you lay down your first track, or do you start with your gut?
I read the
I
specs.
I used to never read the specs, and this is when I was working. And it's your mindset is so different when you're working a full-time job because you're like, hey, I'm gonna get a check anyway. So this is just
Mm-hmm.
extra.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just felt like my auditions were even better because I'm like, I don't give a flip. And
Yeah.
then when
Okay.
I went full time, it's
Interesting.
like I started reading the specs. And then I just recently switched back. I'm like, I'm just gonna go with my gut.
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Because you
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask Saundi, is this allowed? I don't know if this is allowed in the game,
It's
but
allowed.
is it because you get too in your head when you read the specs and you get too analytical versus just going off instinct? Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
That's a good tip to everyone.
Yeah.
All right, clicky mouth. Do you use green apples or a lozenge? Or maybe something else? Or are you guys going to say, I don't get clicky mouth because I'm going to
I
punch
get
you?
clicky mouth.
Oh, I get
All
clicky mouth. I have it right now. You're probably
Yeah, me
hearing
too.
from it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
speaking of clicky mouth.
Yeah.
I
You
I do green apples, but I think I'm allergic to something in there. Green apples, something in there. So
Don't do a
I
green
stopped
apple
The green
doing
anymore.
it as
apple.
much. But somebody once said, and I won't name this person, and they're a very well-known
Oh
voice
boy.
actor, but they were like, clicking is a psychological. It's almost like allergies
Oh,
are
that's
What?
bullshit.
psychological. And I was like, what?
That's bull
But
hickey.
anyway,
I think it's hormonal.
Oh,
I think it can be partly
I think it's
hormonal if
just
you're a woman.
human.
Absolutely. You can
Yeah.
be hydrated and not hydrated, and depends on the day. What if you drank
I'm
last night?
clicky all the time.
Yeah. Or
Or you
tension.
can be Natasha, who's clicky all the time. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I just use Adobe Audition and I clean it all up.
Yeah. Okay, Erika, how about you?
Yeah, same. I used to use chewing gum actually, like in between takes. In
Really?
addition to sometimes I would use apples, but which thinking back to, that's like another embarrassing session thing. You're like, hold on, let me just suck on this apple real quick, like just don't like trying to like mute myself, but I guess maybe they're used to it. And yeah, sometimes chewing gum, sometimes lozenges, but yeah, most of the time now, especially if it's not a live session, I'll just use, Adobe Audition. I'll use like, the declicker, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever
the
Uncle Roy set
declicker.
up for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Headphones on or off? Or one on, one off?
Usually off.
Always off unless I'm in a live session.
Oh,
I used to do them on all the time, again, when I was working. And so you just, and I was, getting into the field, so to speak. But now I never, I mean, as you can see, I never have them on. They irritate me. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. They just sound, my voice, I start criticizing it more.
mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right. Sparkling or flat water, ladies?
Flat.
I'm a sparkle.
Yeah, I have to do flat. I used to do sparkle and then I had some issue from it and it was affecting my voice. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Natasha.
Filtered flat, though, right?
I'm both. I'm both. Like I'm both for pretty all these answers.
Okay. We are going to end with with my favorite one, pants on or off, people.
What's the season?
Mine is
Honestly.
like, what's the day? Saundi, pants on or off?
You know what? From day one, I've always been fully dressed.
I,
From day
I
one.
can't.
Wow.
Like day one, and still this, even during the pandemic, I said, I am going to wear a bra and shoes every day. I did.
Okay.
I just can't. I don't know. It's something about, I just don't feel myself if I'm not.
Right.
You're getting up, you're getting in gear, you are not going to slack off. It puts you in the headspace. I get that 100%.
Yeah,
Love it.
totally. You have to dress for like as if you're going into the job if you were in a
Yeah,
professional studio. Sometimes
exactly.
it gets so hot though that
Absolutely.
The pants
yeah.
come
The
off.
pants
In
off.
fact,
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm
I put on a
serious.
tank
Yeah.
top, but yeah, I mean, shorts, if we call pants off. Shorts is about as naked as I'll get in a tank top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I love this. Girls, thank you so
good.
much. Women, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being on this show and letting us know all about your stories and your relatable moments. And I think it helps us all so much to know that we are all human beings and this is not a walk in the park. Natasha, do you want to add anything?
Cheers to human.
Cheers to human.
Here's to human. I like that.
Love you, girls.
Love you too. Thank you
Love
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
This episode of Speechless is brought to you by.
Hey, did you know that the very first newsletter in our industry still exists today?
I did. It's called Voiceover Extra.
Mhm. It's got daily announcements, it's got career building advice, it's got products, opportunities.
Tons of articles, tons of
Yes.
webinars to purchase.
Yes, and we're going to be extra, so extra, and tell you to sign up for VoiceOver Extra. Tell them how.
You go to voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
Hey, is tech holding you back?
Let George the .tech take your studio to the next level.
That's right. All you have to do is schedule a quick consultation, get back on track.
George has brought together top-notch technicians to assist you via an emergency contact line.
Which is my favorite
Totally.
thing ever. Hey, you can benefit from webinars, training modules, recording, editing, studio setup, and troubleshooting.
Level up with George the .tech today. The VoiceOver Resource Guide. What is the VoiceOver Resource Guide?
It's an incredible networking tool. Not only that, but it's also the industry's oldest publication since, drumroll please, 1988.
Sounded like a cat. The publication comes out twice a year and now covers LA and New York and Chicago.
And there's also a free online version called thevorg.net.
Right. Here you can find recording studios, casting services, agents, rates, demo production, events, and so much more, and has the most up-to-date map search.
That's pretty cool. You can pick up your very own publication in various locations across the United States, or just go to thevorg.net and get one shipped right to you.
Speechless.